Today's episode of DevNTell is brought to you by our friends at GasHawk. GasHawk makes on-chain interactions more efficient, safe, and secure by providing a service that saves both retail and institutions up to 95% on transaction costs. Users can simply set a time preference for their transactions, and GasHawk will hunt for the best possible execution in that time frame. Why waste time watching gas fees fluctuate to get the best deal when you can just use GasHawk to automatically get you the best fee? GasHawk intelligently submits your transactions into the best possible block over the course of your time frame, helping you save up to 95% on transaction costs. If only I had used GasHawk in the last handful of months, I could have saved myself $800 in gas fees alone. You can get started with just a click of a button to add GasHawk to your favorite wallet. Start saving some extra dough on gas fees today by checking out GasHawk for free using the link in the description below. Now, let's get to our episode. Hey, GM, everybody. Welcome to what's going to be another great DevNTell here. So if you didn't know, DevNTell is a 30-minute window for builders to showcase something they're passionate about or have been building in Web3. This can be an awesome project you've been working on, demonstrating unit testing best practices, automation goodies, smart contracts, how to structure a project, etc. Basically, you got a passion for something. This is the show for you to come on and talk about it to your peers at Developer DAO and in Web3. And today I am ecstatic to have on Nader and Gajesh from EigenLabs, who are going to be giving us a overview of the developer ecosystem in and how to get started building with EigenLayer. Welcome to the show, gang. Pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure. I guess before we deep dive into the content here, perhaps you'd like to give, both of you like to give a brief introduction about yourselves in case folks aren't familiar.
Gajesh, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure thing. I'm Gajesh. I work at EigenLayer as a DevRel. Previously, I used to do smart contracts for EigenLayer. Before that, I worked at Solar Labs, FX Ventures, and a couple of the DeFi. I did two DeFi protocols. One of them had like about $7 million of TVL at peak. Other one I raised like 1.3 million and got it acquired. Before that, I used to do like jump around different things. Like went from like game development, web development, like data science, like did all the stuff. Then like found a home in crypto. Yeah, that's like a brief intro about me.
And before we get to Nader's introductions, you, if I'm not mistaken, just reading your About Me page, you have done this at quite a young age.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's very impressive what you've done in such a early part of your life. And I guess what kind of had pushed you to do all these things at such an early age?
Oh, I think like I started coding when I was 7. But like the main motivations of getting into coding was I was really into playing. Like I used to play a lot of games back then, like Fruit Ninja, Temple Run, like every game which came in the market. I used to like, download and play it. But then like my there's like a IT boot camp happening nearby, and like I went in. Like I was probably like 7 years younger than the average crowd, but I got to learn like Scratch and I built games, built like ping pong and stuff, and then like found like really good interest in programming. Then I thought of getting into like a proper, like better, more like a real programming language. I started with C, then C plus plus, like just explore around different things. I also have like little bit of ADHD, so I keep on exploring different things. Uh, and yeah, it's just like I like to be curious, try to find a different thing.
That's wonderful. Yeah, keep going, man.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Nader, off to you.
Cool. Yeah. So I work with Gajesh at EigenLabs on EigenLayer and EigenDA, and doing developer relations, developer experience, documentation, everything that kind of falls into those buckets. Been doing DevRel for about 7 years and been doing developer education for about 10 years, just like not as an actual job, just on the side and meetups and coding schools and stuff like that. And yeah, really excited to be here to talk about this stuff. I've only been working at EigenLayer for a little over a month, so it's been a month and 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
So it's still
I
new.
mean, I guess in Web 3 years, which are kind of like dog years, that's probably like 2 years worth of it. Yeah, it's wonderful to have you both on. I'm really curious to start exploring the EigenLayer space with you. And yeah, that's in the interest of time, let's dig right in. What do you got in store for us?
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I would like to give my own interpretation, and I would love to hear kind of Gajesh, because I think that there's a lot to cover, and it's really interesting because it's exciting because there is so much there, and there's a lot that you can do with it. And a lot of times people think of EigenLayer in the context of staking and even DeFi or something, because they haven't really um, dived into like why it exists, why that restaking and staking primitive exists in the first place. And really, the thing that excites me as a developer is that it's almost like a developer platform for people to build out protocols a lot easier than they could in the past. And I think that it's more akin to something like an AWS than it is to something like a DeFi protocol. And the core unlock is that in the past, if you wanted to build out your own decentralized network, you had to bootstrap your own security. And this was very, very challenging for a lot of different reasons. Without going into everything, you had to deal with things like launching a token and then having people acquire that token and then use that token to run different nodes to provide security for your network. And even if you were very successful, the amount of security that you could provide was orders of magnitude less than something like Ethereum. With EigenLayer, it's essentially a protocol that allows people to take the Ethereum security and apply that to new services. So if you launch a service, instead of having to bootstrap $1 billion in security or $10 billion, which is very, very challenging, you can essentially tap into the existing security of Ethereum. And then the people that are staking their ETH can then earn additional rewards by choosing to validate these new services without really doing too much work. It's just very simple. They can essentially take their ETH and restake it, or they can take their liquid staking tokens, which are given to them from protocols like Lido, and then apply those to secure new services. So it's a big value proposition for developers, and it's a big value proposition for stakers. And it is kind of just something that has unlocked this new era of Web3. And a lot of people are building companies around these different primitives, either AVSs, which are the services that are run on EigenLayer, or the liquid staking tokens and the staking side of it.
Interesting. And just to clarify, when you say services, what do you mean exactly? Do you mean like protocols, dApps, microservices in the traditional sense?
It could be microservices, it could be protocols, it could be a blockchain, it could be an oracle, it could be a coprocessor. Really, anything that needs some type of verification that would have in the past needed to have some type of decentralized network. Most of the time, proof of stake is what people would be building. And Gajesh, I'm curious to hear, like, if someone was like, "What's the TLDR of EigenLayer?" What would you say?
Yeah, I think like a really your explanation was really great about the whole thing. Uh, I think giving a TLDR, I think it would be we have three elements right now. One is three main elements right now. One is stakers, operators, and services. Stakers are the people who deposit their ETH and provide security. Uh, there is and second one is operator who run services, who run um the tasks for the services. And like services are like oracles and bridges and like anything which requires trust. So right now, like you can, there's like a security which is provided by the users. There is computational power which is provided by the operators. And then there is like the more like the services have to like just launch really good products, and they don't have to worry about these like two main categories. um, yeah, there's also like a fourth category which is consumers, which will be using the services. And yeah, that's like a really brief version of it.
Gotcha. So it sounds quite involved. I guess, is there a particular area folks should start when they want to get going with EigenLayer, or I guess what's the hello world version of getting started with EigenLayer?
Oh, we have incredible squaring. This is like very uh, hello world equivalent for us. We'll be launching like workshops on it soon, but right now there's a GitHub for it, and like people can just um, run few commands and like get going with the whole thing. It's like really simple. Basically, there are operators who get a number, and then they square it and submit the number, and then like the aggregator checks it, like if everything is fine. um, yeah, that's like the most basic version of uh, like how to build an Eigen layer right now.
Yeah, I think for people watching this, developers would be more interested in like the side that Gajesh is talking about, like the AVS side. There's also the app consumer, or I would say the protocol consumer, which would be like the dApps, and that's an area that we're going to be diving more into now that we're getting closer to mainnet, because right now we're still in testnet, so therefore there aren't production applications that are running because there is no production environment. But yeah, the two areas that I think for developers watching this would be building an AVS. So like you want to build out a protocol, you want to build out some type of service, you can fork that incredible squaring GitHub repo that Gajesh mentioned, or you might look at the you can go to EigenLayer the website, so eigenlayer.xyz, and you can see the different existing services that are launched, and you can then try to use one of those. So a good example of what a developer might be watching this from Developer DAO or just from Twitter or something would be something like Versatis. And Versatis is a new blockchain that allows developers to deploy programs in JavaScript or TypeScript, also a couple of other languages, but it's essentially a new blockchain that provides like a nicer user interface for creating and updating programs. And it's actually really nice because they've abstracted away a lot of the more complex stuff that you might have needed to understand when you're writing Solidity. And you can use primitives and calls that we're used to in network requests. So like you have create, read, update, delete, for CRUD applications. They have a similar API for Versatis where you create a program and then you send updates to the program by sending update requests, and then you can read those requests. So the API is there when you deploy the program, and then you can then update things in the program and then read those. So it's really nice because you don't have to understand a lot of the lower level like Solidity stuff that you might run into when you get past a Hello World program. So that's like one example of how a user might interact with an EigenLayer program would be to use one of these services like a blockchain like Versatis. Another example is EigenDA. It is the first service that is being launched on EigenLayer as an AVS, along with probably a few others around mainnet. And it's a data availability layer, but what it allows people to do are like you can deploy a rollup and use EigenDA, and often that's a pretty complicated process to kind of deploy your own rollup. But there's now rollup as a service platforms that allow you to kind of go into a UI. You choose your blockchain like protocol, so you can choose like Optimism or Arbitrum or ZK Sync or something. You choose your data availability layer. You can choose your Oracle. You can choose your Block Explorer, and you're kind of building out your own specialized rollup. And you don't have to be like a blockchain protocol engineer to do this anymore. They provide like a really nice UI, and you can do that with Conduit, AltLayer, Caldera, Gelato. All of those products now support EigenDA. So that's another entry point, and I think that's another space that's going to really explode over the next few years, because you can build out these more specialized networks that do things like subsidize gas costs for things like social and gaming, where you have like a very high throughput. With EigenDA, you can support very high throughput. We've seen examples already where teams were able to achieve 100K TPS with an EVM environment on EigenDA. And you can just do all types of stuff that you haven't really been able to do in the past. So there's quite a bit of you know, things to work with, really. And like at first, we're probably going to see a few dozen AVSs launch, but from there, from what we've seen so far with teams coming in and building AVSs, it would not be surprising to see hundreds of AVSs that are launched over the next year or so. And then each one of those AVSs is a service. It could be a blockchain, it could be an Oracle. Those could be areas where developers could basically be building.
Interesting. I guess one step above that. I'm not particularly familiar with the acronym AVS. Perhaps could you just touch on that briefly and like a TLDR on that? And we have a question in the crowd on that as well.
Sure. An AVS is just any service that's built on EigenLayer. It's any typically a proof of stake network, but it can be any type of network that requires some type of distributed validation semantics for verification.
Gotcha.
So any any network that needs verification, but typically those are proof of stake networks. And that could be, like I said, an Oracle. It could be a side chain. It could be a bridge. Bridges, we're seeing a lot of bridges, a lot of coprocessors, things like that. People are wanting to kind of do trading across different networks. And typically that was very challenging to do in a secure fashion. And with an AVS, you're able to kind of, again, inherit a lot of that security to do more high value trades and transfers.
And a tangent question on that from Nelson. Since we could AVS everything, what is the AVS idea actually that you touched on? And then and what are some of the least obvious things that might have some heads exploding when they do come out?
Gajesh, do you have any that stand out the most to you?
Like any AVSs which are really good right now?
Sure.
I think all of them are really good. But like I think we have to root for the home team, EigenDA. Like and actually all the AVSs are really awesome. Like EigenDA, you can roll up your own roll up. Like you can launch a roll up really easily with EigenDA and with all the stuff we have almost prepared. And yeah, what else? There's Versitus, there's Omni Network. What else? Thank- Um,
Is there one that kind of sticks out where you're like, oh, I would have never thought of someone doing this with EigenLayer, or have you not seen that yet? Yeah.
Oh, like something really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure most of the things are interesting, but I'm sure there's one that kind of stands out.
Yeah, I think it's essentially though, like it's just making it easier for people to build any proof of stake network or any network, any anything that they could have built in the past, but they might not have been because it was quite complicated and challenging to do, that they're just able to do. So I don't, while it probably unlocks a few new primitives, I think one good example might be AltLayer. An AltLayer is a roll-up as a service, but you can also build out, they're also building out other parts of the roll-up stack that are AVSs as well. So they're using EigenDA as the actual data availability layer, but they created this product where they're doing verification with one AVS called Vital, I think it is. They're doing the actual finality with another AVS called Mock, and then they're doing the sequencing with their own sequencer network, which is also an AVS. So they're having like everything built in that whole roll-up stack as AVSs with EigenDA underneath, which is kind of interesting because it provides a lot of like ways for people to participate in the network, and not only like in terms of building, but also in terms of like restaking, which is kind of interesting. And I think it provides like a lot of just new ways of thinking about building out these different networks with all the different pieces that in the past might have been, I don't know, done a lot differently, I guess you could say.
Excellent. And Gajesh, you have something to add?
Yeah, there's actually like also like a roll up can be like building a roll up can be like a lot of things. So like you can build your own like app chain and stuff. Like you can launch your own Farcaster or Spotify. We are actually working on something similar to that. So like you can, if you have an idea, you just need to bring it, and you can like launch a roll up, like post data out there, and it would be like super simple. Like users won't have to like have wallets as such. Like no need to have signatures. Everything is account abstracted, uh, powered by EigenDA and OP Stack. Um, yeah, like that's actually one of the things I'm really excited about, because it gives like Web2 users entry point, because they don't have to worry about a wallet, they don't have to worry about gas fees. You just come to the app, do stuff. Like if you want to play chess, you're playing chess. um, and yeah, the like there are like infinite possibilities with this, and even with EigenLayer there's like infinite possibilities with like anything you can build. Like sky's the limit.
Excellent. Great answer. Um, we have a couple more great questions from the crowd. Do you want to continue taking questions or?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool. Alrighty. Daniel asks, how does restaking staked ETH on EigenLayer add to the security of EigenLayer?
uh, what exactly does he mean rich taking state ETH? Like the ETH which is uh the LST which is staked on EigenLayer, or like the liquid restaking tokens?
That's a good question. Daniel, if you could write your response to that, we'll circle back to this question once you do that. Next, wants to comment, asks any simple storage AVSs to replace IPFS or potentially have it be sub-in for IPFS or any other decentralized storage.
Yeah, this is a really good one. There are already one or two teams building something in this space that you could kind of compare to a pinning service, but also you could actually build out something like Arweave on EigenLayer, because you wouldn't have to like completely build out the entirely like from scratch network with Arweave has a few $billion now, I guess, in FTV. You could actually just build out a network just as secure as Arweave, without having to kind of go and start, over the years building out your reputation and things like that. Obviously, people would, if you're building like a permanent storage layer, reputation matters a lot, and it's going to take time for people to trust you. But with Arweave, they have again billions of dollars and security that they've been able to manage to kind of bootstrap over the years. But you could kind of come in and have equal amounts of security with something like EigenLayer as an AVS, because again, people can take the like staked ETH that's already there and apply it to your service. But I think permanent storage and IPFS pinning is a really good use case.
Excellent. Great question. And yeah, promising to see what kind of comes out of that space here as well. Daniel has clarified his question. He was referring to restaking ETH
Oh,
staked on the Ethereum network itself, and
oh,
commented,
okay.
Ethereum staked ETH adds to the security of Ethereum, but how does restaking that ETH on EigenLayer add to the security of EigenLayer?
Oh, so well, you're
If
running
it
your
does.
own validator node and securing the network while also um, while also providing security to um, like these AVSs. Um, yeah. Well, like it's the same thesis as like running a validator, but now you can do more with your stake teeth.
Gotcha. And then, so I guess we can run through like a little scenario. So suppose that I'm staking ETH on Ethereum. Now, can I take that same ETH that I've staked on Ethereum and stake that on EigenLayer, or that's the idea?
Yeah, you can do that.
Is-
So you can run your own nodes, or you can put it in LSD and like let them run it. Well, like you running it is like much usually better. You have the control, and
Mhm.
you're like running your own validator, securing the network. Um, and like the native restaking is called eigenpods.
Mhm.
So basically, you assign the withdrawal to us, and yeah.
I see. And then a follow-up question Daniel has is, in this case, would you have to run two nodes separately, one for ETH and one for EigenLayer, or
Oh, just
can
one.
you just one, just the one on EigenLayer?
Yeah. No, just a Ethereum validator node,
Oh,
and
okay.
you just point it to EigenLayer.
Yeah, or you can not run any nodes. You could also just stake to an existing operator, and the operator is running the nodes. Or you could run the node and stake to yourself. There's a lot of ways that you can kind of do it.
Oh, I think he meant. Oh, I'm not sure if he's talking about in the staking side or operator side, because we have running nodes on two parts. So one is you can run a validator and provide security, and one is you can run nodes and you can provide computation. Um,
Okay.
so for computation, you have to run like a separate node, like depending on the AVS. For the validator, you can like it's normal, like whichever validator software you're using.
Nice. That's a great question, Daniel, and same with all the other folks that ask questions. Really went down the rabbit hole there, and we're getting close to time. So if you have any final questions, gang, please do comment them, and we will get through them. I guess in the meantime, here we go. Here we go. Um, can can anyone run these two types of nodes? In the sense that I guess it is open, right? So anyone could theoretically set up these nodes, but is there any certain financial thresholds a certain person would need to start staking or running a node or something of the sort?
So for the native staking, you just need it's open to anyone. For the operators part, it depends on the AVS actually. So for example, for EigenDA, you should be like top 200 operators based on stake. So higher stake is like you should come in like the top 200 stakers. Top 200 like um like
Yeah, but
uh
like you yourself don't have to have the money. It's more like the
yeah,
people are
so
staking to you.
yeah.
I see. I see. So it's kind of the reverse of the Ethereum staking system, where instead of me having to put up 32 ETH or whatever it is, I can have other folks kind of help me get to that threshold. Correct?
Yep. You can also run. You can also delegate to yourself. It's not like
Oh, okay.
you can also yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Great question there, DDA.
Yeah, good questions.
I guess to kind of finish things off here, unfortunately, we're getting closer to the end of time. But I know you mentioned a great GitHub repo for folks to start looking into. That we will provide in the YouTube description, folks. So don't worry about that. But how would you recommend folks to just get going with EigenLayer? Would it be just going through that example? Are there docs folks can look at? Other video walkthroughs? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you go to docs.eigenlayer.xyz, we have a brand new learning resources section there that's really, really great. Has a lot of great videos, code bases, everything you need to kind of get started to learning and diving into a little bit more details than we covered here. Then I would probably go to the Incredible Squaring repo, clone it, fork it, run it, dive into the code, try to understand the AVS contracts that essentially are talking to the EigenLayer contracts. And then I would also probably go to eigenlayer.xyz and look at the ecosystem page. And then from there, you can kind of look at the different AVSs that we've publicly put out there that are that will continue to be added more as we, launch mainnet and add more public-facing AVSs. And then I would probably experiment with some of those. Again, one of the ones that's cool for me as a JavaScript and TypeScript developer is Versatis, just because it has like a new way for me to build programs, and it's been kind of fun. But there's also a lot of other stuff. So I would probably do those three things. Check out the resources page, check out the incredible squaring AVS like Gajesh mentioned, and then go to the ecosystem page.
Excellent. And if folks do need support, is there a Discord or Telegram community, or how can they get support? How can they reach out?
Yeah, do you want to get that one?
Oh yeah, sure thing. You can sort of go to our Discord or like DM any of us. Like we'll be happy to help. Um, Discord is usually the best place, but DMing us would be also awesome.
Awesome. And both Nader's and Gajesh's Twitters are linked in the description below, so definitely give both of these fine gents a follow. But unfortunately, that does bring us to time here. Thank you so much to the both of you for coming on, giving us that great but brief overview of EigenLayer. I'm sure there's more to unravel as folks will deep dive into the docs and start playing around.
Yeah, we're both going to be at different events over the next year. So if you're heading to ETHCC or you're heading to Dubai for the ETH Dubai or some of these larger events like DevCon, we'll probably be at some of the larger ones.
Excellent. You heard it here, folks. Make sure if you're going to these events to go on and mingle. But before everybody leaves today, I just want to present everybody with the QR code for you to scan to claim your NFT for being an attendee today on DevNTell. So what you want to do is scan this code with your phone and fill out the form on the form, and you will be, and once that is done, you'll be airdropped a NFT for being an attendee here today within the next handful of days. And you'll have an hour and a half from now to be able to fill out this form before it closes. But with that, I just want to wish everybody a very happy Friday, happy weekend, and that will catch you back here next week for another episode of DevNTell. All right, all. Peace.